Some say as long as there's a tag saying made in China, the bag can never be luxury. However, in fact, more than 80% of the luxury bags in the world are made in China. But those luxury brands just won't acknowledge that.
China manufactures a vast majority of luxury goods, sometimes legally, sometimes questionably, but always quietly. That's how it was until last week.
They take almost finished bags from China factories back to their own factories.
Hermes, the epitome of luxury fashion, is reportedly embroiled in a legal battle against Chinese manufacturers following a series of viral TikTok videos. And the internet isn't letting this one slide. These viral clips didn't just stir the pot, they poured gasoline on it. In video after video,
Chinese factories are speaking up, and that too on TikTok. Take a Birkin bag, for example. Video claims that a bag is made in China for $1,400, all things included. And how much does Hermes sell it for? $38,000. That's a markup of over 2,600%. Now, those Chinese factories are speaking up, and that too on TikTok.
Do you recognize this style, this bag? Of course you do. For the past more than 30 years, we have been the OEM factory for most of the luxury brands around the world.
Users claiming to be directly inside Chinese manufacturing hubs began showcasing Hermes-style bags allegedly made in the exact same factories used by high-end brands. They weren't just teasing similar styles, they were flaunting factory leaks, showing production lines, raw materials, and finished handbags that looked identical to the coveted Birkin and Kelly models. And the price? A slap in the face to every luxury buyer out there. Instead of the jaw-dropping $10,000 to $150,000 price tags Hermes typically demands,
Our price is only 1/10 of those from the boutique. But we have exactly the same design, same material, and we're even the same group of people who have been making this bag.
Made in France, Hermes, Chanel, Louis Vuitton, Saint Laurent, Hermes, all of these. They put this stuff is made in China. It would cost too much money to make it in France.
These manufacturers claimed they could ship a virtually identical bag straight to your door for $1,400 or less. Suddenly, the veil of exclusivity Hermes had spent decades cultivating was yanked off like a cheap sticker. Influencers pounced on the story, stitching the TikToks, reacting in disbelief, and questioning if the luxury industry had just been publicly undressed by its own so-called ghost manufacturers. These weren't fringe accusations either. The videos exploded with millions of views.
Donald Trump just pissed off the wrong country. China is currently exposing all luxury brands.
More than 80% of the luxury bags in the world are made in China.
Your Prada, Gucci, and Louis Vuitton, they're all made in China. There's no such thing as a knockoff. All your branded goods are made in the same factories, stored in the same warehouses, all in China.
Trending across fashion TikTok, YouTube commentary, and even spilling into mainstream media. And while Hermes scrambled to manage the fallout, the damage to their brand mystique had already been done. Because if the bags really were being made in Chinese factories, factories with zero of the artisanal European heritage, Hermes clings. 2. Then what exactly were consumers paying for? The craftsmanship, the exclusivity, or just the label? The fashion industry felt the tremors instantly.
Hermes has been exposed, but a lot of y'all want comments saying like, oh my God, don't be ridiculous. It's a lie. Hermes is made in France. You guys, the people that run the industry that know this in and out are coming out and exposing that China is telling the truth.
How much it costs at the boutique? 300,000 USD. You know what our price is? Less than 1/10 of the boutique one.
Luxury watchdogs, brand investors, and even rival designers started asking dangerous questions. Was Hermes just another overpriced middleman? Could these TikTok whistleblowers be exposing something much darker, something the entire luxury sector wanted buried? One thing was clear. This wasn't just a PR problem, it was a full-blown credibility crisis. And Hermes was forced to either fight back or risk being dethroned in public view. But the most shocking part? This was just the beginning.
Once upon a time, luxury was made in Europe. France had Chanel, Italy had Gucci, the UK had Burberry. The West made these brands. The East made the knockoffs.
Are your luxury, super expensive designer bags really made in China?
In these TikTok videos, purported Chinese manufacturers don't just hint, they boldly declare that they are the original producers behind some of the most sought-after luxury bags in the world, including the iconic Birkin and Kelly from Hermes. The creators, often filming from what appear to be bustling factory floors or well-lit showrooms, hold up nearly identical replicas of Hermes bags and casually claim, "This is the same bag. We made it first." Some even go further, pointing to spools of leather, hardware bins, and branded dust bags, claiming that what customers believe are French artisanal creations are actually churned out in industrial zones in Guangdong or Zhejiang. But what truly ignited the scandal was the price tag. These manufacturers claim you can buy these so-called same-source bags directly from them for as little as $1,400. That's not just a discount, it's a devastating price revelation that undercuts Hermes' entire business model. SUES bag that retails for $25,000 or more in a boutique? These TikTok videos are saying it's essentially the same item being sold behind the scenes for 95% less. The implication? You're not paying for luxury. You're paying for illusion. To make matters worse, many of the videos don't just stop at the manufacturing claim. They show invoices, material receipts, and even contracts, with blurred out names, of course, that allegedly tie these manufacturers to global luxury brands. 1. Viral clip even shows a side-by-side, a $50,000 Birkin purchased at a Paris flagship and a factory direct bag shipped from China. And visually, you could barely tell them apart. The commentary in these videos was savage. One gets you on a wait list, the other ships next week. The message is clear and brutal. According to these TikTok insiders, luxury brands like Hermes are doing little more than slapping on a logo, inflating the price, and feeding customers a fantasy of exclusivity. The leather is the same, the stitching is the same. The difference? Marketing and margin. If that's true, then the foundation of the luxury market starts to crumble. Because if brands aren't handcrafting their products in the way they claim, if they're simply rebranding mass-produced goods from overseas and charging exorbitant premiums, then what exactly are buyers investing in? The status, the illusion, the lie, and as these videos continue to circulate, with millions of views and mounting traction, it's becoming harder for Hermes and other luxury giants to ignore the narrative. Or stop it. Because TikTok isn't just exposing counterfeit culture, it's allegedly exposing the entire system behind the luxury price tag. And if that system falls apart, the entire industry might go down with it. Next, Hermes responds. But not how you'd expect. Hermes has firmly denied these claims, categorically, aggressively, and with a tone that screams damage control. In official statements, the brand doubled down on its decades-long narrative. Every Hermes bag is handcrafted in European ateliers by highly trained artisans, many of whom spend years mastering the craft before even touching a Birkin or Kelly. According to Hermes, their bags aren't products. They're art, made by individual craftspeople who sign their work with hidden stamps inside each bag. That's the story they've sold for years. And it's the story they're refusing to let collapse under the weight of TikTok exposés. The company insists that any suggestion of Chinese mass production is not just inaccurate, it's offensive to the heritage and prestige they've cultivated. For over 180 years, Hermes doesn't just rely on branding, they say, they rely on legacy. They reference their small workshops in France and Italy, where each bag takes up to 48 hours to complete. They cite the proprietary leathers, the painstaking saddle stitching, the hand-painted edges. Everything is supposedly done with obsessive precision, zero shortcuts, and absolutely no outsourcing to bulk manufacturers overseas. Behind the scenes, however, insiders say Hermes is in full-on panic mode. PR teams are scrambling. Legal threats are reportedly flying. Brand consultants are being pulled into emergency meetings. Because here's the brutal reality. No matter how many times Hermes declares their innocence, the visuals from those TikTok videos of piles of Birkin lookalikes coming off Chinese assembly lines are already imprinted in people's minds. The damage is visual, emotional, viral, and denials, no matter how firm, don't trend like proof does. In fact, some luxury analysts have pointed out that Hermes' response, while necessary, might have come too late. By the time the brand issued its formal rebuttal, the TikTok videos had already amassed millions of views, reactions, and reposts. Influencers were mocking the brand. Fashion YouTubers were doing side-by-side comparisons. Twitter was flooded with hot takes like, "So we've been paying $25K for Made in China this whole time?" Even parody accounts jumped in, suggesting Hermes rename itself Hermes AliExpress. Addition. But the real kicker, Hermes didn't offer proof. No factory tours, no video footage from their ateliers, no transparency initiative. Just words. And in the age of receipts and screenshots, words aren't enough. Their unwillingness to go public with counter-evidence left critics foaming at the mouth. If you're telling the truth, they argued, then show us the artisans. Show us the facilities. Show us the truth. Because right now, the only side showing anything visually compelling is the side claiming Hermes isn't being honest. And that silence, that refusal to show behind the scenes, it's raising eyebrows in all the wrong ways. Luxury handbag authenticators have weighed in on the controversy, and while some of the viral TikTok bags look nearly identical at first glance, the experts aren't buying it. According to them, there are still noticeable discrepancies that give the fakes away, if you know what to look for. The most common red flags: handle shapes that are just slightly off, leather grain that feels too uniform or synthetic, and stitching that doesn't match the impossibly precise saddle stitch technique Hermes artisans are trained to master. Some bags also lack the subtle structure and weight distribution that come from authentic construction methods. One expert even pointed out that the spacing between the hardware and the edge of the bag was just a few millimeters too tight, a dead giveaway to a trained eye. Others noted that while the exterior can be deceptively close to the real thing, the interior lining, embossing, and foil stamps on these so-called factory direct bags are inconsistent with Hermes standards. Still, the fact that it takes this level of expertise to spot the differences is what's sending chills through the luxury world. If it takes an authenticator with a magnifying glass and years of training to call it out, how many average consumers are walking around thinking they bought the real thing, or worse, actually did and are now questioning it? And if the fakes are this good, what does that say about Hermes's grip on its brand? The situation has ignited a broader conversation about the pricing and authenticity of luxury goods. Consumers are questioning the value proposition of high-end brands and the ethics of purchasing counterfeit products. Some argue that the allure of owning a luxury item at a lower cost is tempting, while others stress the importance of supporting genuine craftsmanship. From a legal standpoint, the case underscores the challenges luxury brands face in protecting their intellectual property rights. The proliferation of counterfeit goods, especially through platforms like TikTok, poses significant threats to brand integrity and consumer trust. This controversy serves as a microcosm of the broader issues confronting the luxury fashion industry. As counterfeiters become more sophisticated and digital platforms facilitate the spread of unauthorized products, brands must navigate complex legal and ethical landscapes to safeguard their reputations. In conclusion, the alleged lawsuit by Hermes against Chinese manufacturers highlights the ongoing battle between luxury brands and counterfeit producers. It raises critical questions about authenticity, consumer behavior, and the future of luxury fashion in an increasingly digital and globalized market.